Hello and welcome back to the channel, everybody. My name is Dark Sage Walker, and I've been putting a lot of effort into trying to get every achievement in 20 minutes till dawn. And as you can see, the effort has been worth it. Every character has completed Darkness level 15. We have every rune maxed out. And if we go to pick a character, every weapon has had a successful run on level 15, so yeah. Now, I'm far from the only person who has managed to do that, of course. There are other YouTubers who were playing this game. I believe Cranberry comes to mind, but I believe he does his work mostly on Twitch. Which makes sense. This is a game that seems like it would do well on Twitch. So, what? I decided I would like to start performing just random builds. Mostly because I do enjoy this game, and yeah, Darkness 15 is no joke. That is quite the difficulty level. And there are some builds that simply do better than others. Now, there are also other ideas that come into play when talking about this, like some characters do certain builds better than others. Like, I tend to divide my thought process of how the characters perform into three separate categories. Characters that do their best work when based around the actual weapons. Characters that do their best work when focused on the elements. So elementalists. And characters that do their best work when focused around summons. I think I'm going to show off one of those gun-based characters now. Actually, let's keep it very simple. We're gonna go Shauna. Now let's look at... Alright, so... There we go. I tend to put a lot of faith into my dodge chance. This actually helps you level up faster because you have an additional pickup range of an additional 15%. And I just don't find tenacity or courage all that useful. Up here, these three you tend to swap out depending on what you're going for, but I tend to leave agility on most of the time. But occasionally Seismic Ward does what I need it to do. And momentum is particularly good if you have a run that's focused on movement speed. Down here, I tend to go between healing and premonition depending on what I need. The reason why I don't like blessing, and I know that seems weird because it's like just an automatic holy shield, that seems like it would be really good, right? And for the most part it is, but the problem that I have with Holy Shield, or rather with the Blessing rune, is that it removes Holy Shield from the options, which makes sense, but it also means that the other perks on the Holy Shield skill tree will show up when you level up, and it just makes it harder to find what you're looking for early game. Then growth is pretty obvious. Now, I can definitely see wanting to use Body and Soul to do a Soul Heart-based build. Windshield seems okay. But I think having more experience and some healing come along with that is definitely what we're looking for. These will always change depending on what weapon you're using and what type of build you're going for. Because I'm going to be using the revolver and I'm just going to be focusing on just, the gun itself, I think your best bet is to take either Power or Alacrity. Either one is good. I'm going to go Alacrity for this. We're not doing a lot with that. And you can go either Aftershock or Close Combat. Neither one is necessarily going to be bad. I typically stick with Close Combat, which is usually a little bit better with things like the Shotgun and the Cyclone Sword. But there's a reason to hold on to that. Glass Cannon is just more damage and fire rate, definitely good. And at 5 ranks, that's an extra 25% bullet damage and fire rate. I think that's worth it. And every third shot has infinite piercing and double damage. There's a reason to go with that, trust me. So we're going to go with Shauna, the Revolver. I will go Darkness 15, but don't be surprised if I end up losing. Just because the... Actually, here, let me just show you guys how the difficulty levels stack up real quick. I didn't die, I decided to run away. There's a difference. So, Darkness 0 is just the whatever. Then after that, you start getting into slightly more difficult circumstances. Darkness 1, small enemies spawn more often. Then small enemies have more HP, so there's more of them and they're harder to kill. Then your elites will have more HP. Then your bosses get more HP. Now, elites deal double damage. Then bosses deal double damage. I think I said that wrong, but small enemies now move faster. Elites move faster. Then your upgrade choices get reduced by 1. See, normally on just the base difficulty, you get 5 options when you level up. However, starting at Darkness 9 and above, you only get 4 shots. So it makes it really difficult to find anything specific to round out whatever build you're going for. After that, small enemies deal double damage in the last 5 minutes. Then your experience gain is reduced, so at that point, that's when things start to get really tricky, because now not only are you gaining less experience, but when you do level up, your number of choices is reduced. So if you ask me, Darkness 11 is where things start to get real. Now, small enemies have even more HP, then same thing with elites, then same thing with bosses. And at this point, bosses attack more often. Now, there are only 2 actual bosses that spawn during a run, but them moving and attacking more frequently makes things really challenging. And that is why I say that that it might take me a couple of shots to actually clear a run here. Alright, so as you can see, the reason why having that piercing is useful is because early game, you are going to... Let's reroll. Okay. But yeah, early game, having that piercing gives you just that extra little bit of crowd control to really help you get started. Double shot, definitely want that. This is just a general increase to both your damage and your crowd control, and I say it's definitely worthwhile. Alright, now what do we got? I'm going to take Split Fire because ultimately what I'm looking for is the Fusillade ability. Now, you can actually highlight these to see what they do when you're using, whatever. But yeah, Fusillade is going to give me more projectiles amongst a greater spread. It's going to reduce my bullet damage, but if I'm firing 4 projectiles at once, I'd say it's worth it. Plus, this is allowing me to fire a shot behind me, which is, again, just greater crowd control. Ow. And there's Fuselot. Perfect. Now, what we really need is a more focused version of piercing or bullet bounce. And then, because of how quickly bosses move, it really helps to have Frost Mage. So we've got some things that we're looking for. As well as we should be looking for ways to do more damage. Now, because we're focusing on our gun, I definitely want to take quick hands to make reloading a less painful process. Plus, that also gives you just a little bit of extra fire rate. Ow. Power shots, just extra damage and knockback. Perfect. Now that, and obviously the reason why I picked Shauna is because I want to be able to re-roll my options in case I get, just pure trash garbage on my upgrades. Which obviously you can't choose to re-roll with any other character. That's what makes Shauna special. Okay, is there anything here I really want? I'm going to re-roll. Actually, I think rapid fire is what we want because we want to aim for rubber bullets to give ourselves a little bit more crowd control. You're starting to see why that crowd control is important, I assume. Triple the effect of the next upgrade you take. Alright, so we are going to be looking for a particularly juicy upgrade. What I would like to see is something along the lines of Reaper Bullets, because then I won't need to take the bounty one. Fanfire, Aura Magic. Reroll. Okay, so unfortunately we did not get what we were looking for. So I'm gonna take this because that's an extra 15% fire rate. I don't care about that. Run and gun is nice. Let's just grab run and gun because now we have greater movement speed while we're firing. Normally you get slowed down quite a bit when you're firing. Okay, we've got about 45 seconds until the next boss spawns. And I would say that's one of the hardest points in the game, just because of how fast the boss will be moving and attacking. But you can see now why I wanted rubber bullets, because the bullet bounce mechanic actually very much helped keep the mooks at bay. Alright, boss should be spawning in. There it is. Now, normally there would be a delay between when it jumps and starts moving again, but with the bosses moving faster than usual because of Darkness 15, the boss just is constantly moving and jumping. And remember, they're doing double damage, so if I get hit by that guy at all, it's game over. Fortunately, he is now gone. I am going to take Frost Mage. Alright, so here's another good reason why I wanted to grab so much movement speed. With the Tome of Wind, all of my movement speed bonuses will translate into damage bonuses. Now, my initial damage is going to be decreased by 15%, but I have plus 60% movement speed. As you can see, it's making a difference. And enemies do become more robust as time goes on. Alright, the electric fence will be dropping in 2 seconds. Okay, 3 seconds, my bad. How am I supposed to do a good job relaying to you guys how this works if I keep giving you misinformation like that? Okay, magnetism. I don't really care about upgrading my... Alright, so none of these are really anything that I'm quite aiming for. Alright, so I'm gonna start going down the take aim path, because what I ultimately want to get to here is Sniper, which is more damage, and Assassination, which will essentially lower every enemy's max HP by about 20%. It also makes your shots more focused, which may or may not be something that you want, depending on what your build is all about. But it's something to think about. Ooh, we've got a couple of good ones. I think Reaper rounds is definitely what you want to go for. It's just an additional 20% bullet damage, and that is never a bad thing. Plus Pierce, and if the enemy's Pierce don't get killed, then the next shot will bounce, thanks to rubber bullets. Alright, what do we got here? This is nice because it's just an extra... Essentially, it translates to an extra 50% damage. Because as you can see, we're firing all of our rounds before that 1 second timer is up. So that is especially useful on weapons with small magazine sizes, like the revolver, the magic bow, and the shotgun. So Fresh Clip definitely has a place there. Now I'm going to take Siege, even though I'm not spending a lot of time standing still, because that will lead to a potential synergy. Now, what synergies are, is they are a essentially a kind of big, powerful upgrade that you get by essentially having other upgrades. The one I'm looking for is called Stand Your Ground, and the reason why I want that is for the extra 25% fire rate and the 2 extra projectiles. Like, as is, we're firing 4 projectiles in front of us and 1 behind, but if I could be firing 6 projectiles in front of me, I would be covering so much more ground and making everything just so much easier to deal with. As you can see, I'm already not having a huge amount of trouble. Oh, and there it is. Alright, now what do we got? We're gonna take Armed and Ready because I am trying to get to Gun Mastery. And to show you what Gun Mastery is, Armed and Ready plus Power Shot plus Rapid Fire gets you just a smorgasbord of upgrades. You get more bullet damage, you get better fire rate, you get better reload rate, you get 1 more max ammo and more piercing. So it's definitely worth it. Now, it's not always a good idea to try to go for that, but with this particular build, where just about all of our combative ability is focused on our gun, I'd say it's definitely worth going. Now, if you're going for an elemental or a summon-based build, your mileage will definitely vary on that one. Alright, so at level 20, your weapon hits an evolution. And the evolutions for the handgun are Headshot, where you have a 30% chance to deal triple damage, Volley, where your first and last shot fires 3 additional projectiles, and Trick Shot, where your bullets bounce and every bounce makes them do 20% more damage. I'm not necessarily going for a bounce build, so we're going to take... So I would say Volley would be better if you were looking to inflict a lot of elemental effects. I'm just looking for raw damage, so I'm taking Headshot. And now you can see how that's working out. First of all, we've got diamond-shaped shots, which, you know, it's not a big deal, but it just denotes what weapon evolution you're using, and hey, let's be real here, it does look big. There's Sniper, that's exactly what I was looking for earlier. So now our base shots do 15% more damage. And don't forget, Fresh Clip is essentially just a 50% bonus, so long as I fire all my shots off within that first second after reloading. Alright, so you'll notice the base small enemies have changed. These ones are a little bit chunkier, and well, they don't do any more damage when they hit. It's just that they're chunkier, and I think they're a little bit faster, but I don't know that for certain. The one thing that is true is that they do have more health and are typically harder to take down. But with the bonuses that we have, they're not a big deal. So now at this point in the game, what would we be looking for as far as upgrades are concerned? At this point, you'd be looking for more survivability and more ways to keep your offense going. So I'd be looking for evasion or Holy Shield. Obviously, I set up Gun Mastery, so that would be a good thing to have. And from the ice tree, we would certainly benefit from getting frostbite. That is not bad, but not what we're looking for. So let's re-roll. We'll take In the Wind. Ultimately, that's both a movement rate and a damage bonus, but we just have to, you know, not take a lot of hits. And by that, I mean we can't take any hits, because otherwise the bonus resets. But in conjunction with Wind Cutter, that'll mean that my Scythe will also do more damage so long as the In the Wind bonus keeps up. And fortunately, the dodge chance kicked in. Now, obviously, that extra 40% experience from Shauna's Quick Learner ability is something that you would rather have earlier rather than later, but just getting it at all is nice. Alright. Ice Shard is nice, but let's re-roll. There's Gun Mastery. That's what we were looking for in the first place. Now, I know that the headshot evolution seems like it shouldn't be activating as often as it is, but think about it. 30% or, you know, essentially 1 in, like, 4.3 chance of it happening. Think about it. I have 9 shots per magazine to make that happen. There's Assassin. That's beautiful. And with each shot firing 7 rounds, 6 in front and 1 behind, there's a good chance that that's going to keep things controlled quite nicely. And yes, the trees are looking angry and are hopping around because I destroyed one of them. Now, the thing about the Forest level is that those trees are enemies. They are absolutely enemies, and if you run into them, you can take damage. We'll take that. And the trees, well, they're as robust as you would expect a tree to be. But they will eventually die. And when they do, the other trees will get up and go, "How dare you mock our fallen brethren?" And they'll start to march. Alright, so the thing that we really want is Frostbite. But Evasion is also good because that will help us further dodge enemy attacks. And the last pickup I grabbed was Light Bullets, because it increases bullet speed, fire rate, and maximum ammunition. But also because Light Bullets plus Reaper rounds ends up giving you, I forget the name of the actual upgrade, hopefully we'll see it soon. None of those are great, let's reroll. We'll take Scythe Mastery. And here's the Electric Fence, which means we've got a boss. And our boss is this Eldritch Abomination of eyeballs and pustules on the ends of its body, which it uses to fire lasers. Darksage, why'd you pronounce it like that? I don't know, I just wanted to. Lasers. Now, obviously, this counts as a boss, so that whole thing about bosses attacking faster applies to that guy, too, and he just creates just continual laser fences. Like, he's not fun to deal with. Alright, so of these tomes, the one that I like the most is Tome of Power. And even with that, I kind of like my fire rate more than my bullet damage. So I'm actually and I don't like the others. Tome of Glass, basically it removes your dodge cap, so you don't get to dodge anymore, and if you take any damage, you die, but it doubles all damage sources, which is useful if you've got multiple damage sources. I've just got my sickle and my gun, so I don't want that. And this is good if you have a build that really focuses on summoning. I've got one summon. So, because I prefer fire rate over this, but don't get me wrong, Tome of Power is good. I just prefer my fire rate at the moment because I've put so much effort into it. I think I'm just gonna leave those. So as you can see, making a build in 20 minutes till dawn is a bit more nuanced than you think, because outside of just your regular level up choices, there's also the tomes that can completely change the way that you play. Vitality isn't bad. I would rather try for Frostbite though. Oh, there's Nimble. A little bit more movement speed and more dodge chance. Sometimes focusing on defense is the right idea. And we only have 3 minutes and 39 seconds left, so there's not a good chance that I'll actually collect all 3 pieces of Shauna's Halo. But what it does is it gives you a huge bonus to reload rate and fire rate. I'll try to collect all 3 pieces of the Halo, but there is a good chance that I just won't be able to do it before the end of the round. Also, Reflex is really good, so I want that. It's one of those things that makes movement speed actually worth picking up because it increases your dodge chance by your bonuses to your movement speed. There is another one. So Kunoichi, increase fire rate by 10% and piercing by +1 for every 10 seconds. So that one is particularly good. I really like Kunoichi. I would rather get a Halo piece or Frostbite though, so let's see. No, not that lucky. I'll just take Kill Clip. And as you could probably tell, that is one of the synergy ones. That one you get for, death rounds. It's plus Reaper rounds plus light bullets. That's what I was looking for. Kunoichi is what you get for combining In the Wind and Assassin, which, considering what a Kunoichi traditionally is, definitely makes sense that those would be that those would be the bonuses you would need to get that skill. I could take Splinter just to make the ice go out further, but I'm gonna re-roll and see if we get lucky. We did not, but I'm just gonna take Blazing Speed. Also, don't forget, we're in the last 5 minutes, so these guys can definitely do double damage. We'll take Tiny, more dodge chance, and less of a chance that enemies actually hit me because my character model is smaller. Hey, look who's back. There's ice shards again, but let's re-roll. We'll just grab Kunoichi. So now, for every 10 seconds I survive without getting hit, I'm getting more movement speed, more damage, more fire rate, and greater piercing. So now it really behooves me to not get hit. Reroll. And we're just not getting lucky at all. Whatever. Scythe can move faster. In case you're wondering how my Scythe is doing that much damage, it is getting damage bonuses from 2 places. From my bullet damage increases, thanks to Scythe Mastery, and from my movement speed, thanks to Wind Cutter. Let's just grab Soul Shield. The Soul Shield actually does have a damage increase as part of its tree, and it's called Soul Power. It's just an extra 10% bullet damage per soul heart that you have. Plus, that's just extra survivability, so there's really no reason not to pick it up if you've already gotten through what you want. And like I said, if you take the Body and Soul rune, that's actually a huge crux of your build right there. There's Halo piece number 2. We only have 15 seconds left, so it's very unlikely that we'll see the Halo. But at this point, you can see what goes into making a good run in 20 minutes till dawn. And in case you're wondering, wow, Dark Sage, that looked really easy. Trust me, a lot of this was accomplished via trial and error. It's learning what works well for each character and each weapon, so honestly, each character and weapon combination plays very differently. We only got 8,822 kills. It's sad, but I would also say that it's certainly not bad either. I mean, we survived. We barely took any damage. Honestly, not a bad run. So now I want to hear from you guys. What sort of character and weapon combinations are you interested in seeing? I'm up for trying just about anything, with maybe a couple of exceptions, like, I don't know, most things having to do with Haster. I don't like Haster very much, but she's also not terrible. I think my least favorite character in the game is Luna, mostly because that black hole effect sounds interesting. It's really not. It's really not. So, you know, I find Luna to be iffy, but her character design is good. Like, I like most of the character designs. Like, the only character design that I'm, you know, a little whatever about is, I think Diamond looks a little goofy. That's just me, though. And something about Spark's, like, humorless look just makes me think that she would be an awful person to hang out with. She just seems like she'd be really condescending, like, at all times. It's just because of the resting bitch face, though. On the other hand, Abby is my favorite character. Look at her. She looks like she just wants to have a good time. And I can respect that. There's another reason why Abby is my favorite character, but at this point I'm rambling, so I'm just going to call it there. But guys, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate your continued support of my work. I hope you have a fantastic day or night wherever you may happen to be, and I will catch you in the next one. My name is Dark Sage Walker, and you take care, everybody.